All right, let's get this going.
Yeah, let's do it. I have Brett Walsh loaded up.
All right.
I will do the intro.
But I think the main things is at the end of the day, volleyball is volleyball. It's in the same 9x9 court, and the rules are the same. So we. Is that on the back of your shirt?
Yeah, it's on the back of the shirt.
Muted. A little free shout out for you. And it doesn't matter who's on the other side of the net. You need to still execute to the best of your ability if you want a chance to win.
All right. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome. This is a very special episode of the 81 Square Meters of the Best Volleyball Podcast on the Internet. This is the 9x9 episode 161. I am Rob St. Clair. This is Everett Delorme. We are both live from my lovely office studio in Chicago, Illinois.
What up?
It's VNL week, Everett. Your third week on the road, basically in a row. 3 out of 4.
A little more than that, not in terms of VNL, but you know, it's been. I think I've been home for about 2.5 days this month.
Yeah, it's what a time it is.
It has been a bit of a time. No, Burke, I did not get a haircut. I've been rocking this same hair since VNL has started. But if you're telling me it looked good, thank you.
Well, we appreciate you. Yeah, we have been busy in Chicago today. It's been a weird day. We were at the press conference this morning.
Yes.
Which is at 9 a.m. local. And then after that, we didn't really know what to do with ourselves because we couldn't go to practice. We wanted to do the show live earlier from the team hotel where we were at, but the internet was not even close to good enough to do that.
Not nearly good enough.
Not even close. So instead,
third world internet, really.
Yes. So instead, we became tourists. And
we did.
We went to downtown Chicago and
had
we
some
walked
beers,
around.
Walked around. It is stinking hot in
Crazy
basically
hot.
all of North America right now. The whole east coast of North America is in a. It's been such a mild winter, spring, and then all of a sudden it's just the hottest time ever right now. So it is melting right now. Rob's AC bill, I'm sure, is through the roof, as will mine be back home in Toronto.
Worth it.
Yeah. Should be, yeah, absolutely, to be able to stay cool right now.
Oh God, yes.
There is no jet lag.
Jet lag.
I'm an hour behind. So I don't know where that's from. Map.
Nope. We have a lot to talk about because
So much to
obviously
talk
we
about.
have VNL starting tomorrow, but we got to catch up on a ridiculous week of women's volleyball.
This VNL has really given so much in terms of drama, in terms of upsets, in terms of me pulling my hair out. We'll definitely be getting into that. So yeah, maybe Burkai, maybe I didn't actually get a haircut. It's just been me frustratingly watch my team tumble towards the edge of relegation in the worst way possible, and me getting my foot stuck in my mouth now because we lost to Korea.
Well,
but we'll get to that. We won't get to that first.
I actually think we should start there.
I don't want to. I'd rather start with Italy, who's 8-0,
Who's good,
or Brazil, Turkey getting spicy, or even the Italy-Japan match.
Because I guess we can start with either really good volleyball or really terrible volleyball. And if we want to start with terrible volleyball, I want to talk about Serbia.
I want to start with good volleyball.
Okay, let's start with good volleyball.
Let's start with good volleyball. Let's not start this on a bad note.
Let's start with good volleyball, good vibes, and we can get more people. You know, let the show go. Let the show have some gravity and attract some more viewers. To then talk about the couple of dumpster fires that there are, and there are some.
I don't really want to.
Well, I didn't want your team to lose to Korea either, but here we are. We need to talk about Italy. You're absolutely right. Italy is 8-0. They went over to Hong Kong and played phenomenal. They beat Bulgaria, Thailand, Japan, and China in that order. The Japan match was an all-time classic. I think it had to be the best match of VNL period so far this
Definitely,
year.
and one of my best matches that I remember in recent memory. Although
Awesome.
I did get to watch it while sipping coffee in a forest at a cottage, so it was pretty prime for me.
That helped.
I was very zen. It was awesome, but I mean, It did feel like one of those matches, though, that you just inevitably knew that it was eventually going to go Italy's way. Kind of, I don't want to say like it felt like old school Japan because this Japanese team has felt so different. But, I mean, the first half of that match was really led by Wada. She was outstanding on the right side. And the second, all Mayu Ishikawa. But, man, Sarah Farr I thought was fantastic in the middle. She was just teeing off. Like, they were really using that mismatch super well. She was outstanding. And really, at the end of the day, Italy just overpowers Japan, but Japan really put up a good fight.
They did. It really couldn't have been closer. There were moments in the fifth set, in that overtime, that I thought Japan would capitalize on one or two, almost like mental mistakes, definitely some execution mistakes by Italy down the stretch. I thought that maybe Japan would have a chance to capitalize. There was one transition play I remember that I think one of their left sides tipped a ball. They had a great chance to score, and Italy turned it, gave it to Egonu, and that kind of ended what I thought was their best chance. But you mentioned Sarah Farr, 16.
Ooh.
16 points, 14 for 19. Amazing efficiency, and I love the utilization, that mismatch you're talking about. Feed her the ball. There's no reason not to ever against the team. I mean, Japan, it's not a secret. They're incredibly weak down the middle. And Sarah Farr is world class.
It felt like they were just running her a little bit of a higher ball too, more of like a Janiri Martinez ball, where she was just really able to go up and pick wherever she wanted to go, pick where her spots, and really just swing away. Like, it almost felt like everything, like that part was such a mismatch. It almost felt like a high school game.
A little bit, and still Japan gets as close as it did and loses 19-17 in the fifth. I mean, you talked about Wada. What did she have, like 28? 28 points, 26 for 50, blocked 5 times, 0 unforced errors, and 50 swings. That's honestly amazing. 41% or 42% efficiency.
Also 9 block touches, right? Like she's getting out there. It's incredible to see how efficient she is when she's such a different prototype of opposite in an era right now where women's opposites are prime. Like, Japan has such a free-flowing model, and it all comes down to how well they execute and how clean they execute. Seki runs that
quality
offense
of contact
so well. And there's just like a general team buy-in, like you said, like that quality of content. Both Yoshino and Mayu Ishikawa have been amongst the better passers in all of the VNL. It doesn't really matter who they have in there too, whether it's Kojima or. Yeah, their passing numbers are outstanding.
57% positive, 40% perfect.
Yeah,
that's
they are
amazing.
they are so often in system that it really just opens up their entire offense. And this year, I find their offense is way more aggressive than it has been in years past. And Japan, obviously, with that mismatch and blocking, like 13 blocks for Italy, five in this match for Japan, but they just find other ways. Mainly how clean they are off of side out, and then just the ability to, they don't get a lot of blocks, but they get a lot of touches. They funnel the offense into areas that they wanted to do. So still not quite there in terms of playing up against an Italian team who doesn't have Silla, doesn't have a few of their pieces, but a really, really good effort from Japan and a fantastic match overall.
Yep, great match overall. And you mentioned Italy were missing some people. I mean, it was Alice De Gradi and Stella Nervini for the most part on the left sides. And then we got a new setting prospect situation, Kidera Eze, who's going to Bergamo this coming year. I hadn't seen her before. I think she was on one of the teams that got relegated this past year. But I thought she came in in the third set to start and set an offense that I thought was simple but correct. She didn't make very many bad decisions, just kind of gave the ball where it needed to go.
Yeah, just spread that ball around. You had 5 different hitters in double digits in this one.
It's pretty good.
Blocking was outstanding, led by Denesi with 4. But yeah, it was just overall a really, really good masterclass of Italian volleyball, being patient and understanding their game plan when playing against Japan. But yeah, overall, a fantastic match.
Yep, 16 points for Paula Egonu in that one. She was another story kind of throughout the week because, I mean, we don't really need to talk about Italy against Bulgaria or Thailand. Italy 3-donging China was an interesting match between two good teams, and the headline coming out of it was Paula Egonu getting a little spicy.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think it's a little overblown.
I do too.
Especially in like the heat of the moment, someone comes under the net. Maybe it's not necessarily the right, like even if if it's not the right situation, you say something. Like, I have no problem with that.
Same.
You know, let the game get a little spicy. Let it go.
I think
the Agonu haters out there need to let it go.
Oh,
that's all it is.
Yeah, get real. The person I think at kind of most fault for escalating that situation is the referee giving out a yellow card for something that I did not think was at all yellow card worthy. But that at least got the people talking. That match though was pretty darn good through 2 sets, 32-30 Italy in the second, and then China really just kind of collapsed. But a very good week for the Chinese. They're 5-3. 5-3 total. They went 3-1 at home in Hong Kong this week and are in pretty good position for the playoffs with some serious youth going on. And they also lost Wu Mingji to an ankle injury this week. So hopefully she's able to come back and continue to play as well as she has. But Zhang, she's 16-year-old setter, is maybe the breakout star of the VNL so far. And there's several candidates.
There's a few, and like the thing is about like they played. Like, did they play this match without Vu? I'm pretty sure they did.
Yeah, she got hurt. I can't remember which match. It was earlier in the week.
And Zhuang
is one of the left sides.
Yeah. So, but she got pulled out.
Yeah.
After in the first set as well too, and it was Dong who went off. So like we're seeing that depth within China too early on. China's a team that I think is going to be really watched. It's going to be really interesting to watch develop. Over the next little bit. Like they've got some pieces, and especially if they still got Li Yingying and a bunch of those other players still back at home, like and not even playing on this team right now. Watch out for them in LA potentially, because these youngsters are doing it right.
It's the point of this VNL. I think they're doing exactly what a good team with depth should be in a VNL like this, and that's letting the young talent rock out there and give them a long leash and see what they can do. Thank you, Ming-Chi in the chat, saying that Wu will be back in Arlington. That's good news.
That is really good news, and it's a treat to watch her play. It really is. But on the Italy side of things, is there anything else you want to chat about for them?
I just kind of like what they're doing in this tournament. Agonu has been a focal point, and I mean she's probably the best player on the planet, but other than her, they have moved some pieces around. I like that they're exposing more left sides and getting more options in there, because Everett, we were brainstorming last night for a couple videos that we're going to be doing later in the week, and it proved to me that there aren't that many really great outside hitters in the women's game right now.
There's a lot of really good outside
ones.
hitters and really solid. But I mean, it's interesting because Karch even said it today, and it was interesting because I asked him about the difference between men's and women's volleyball, and I was kind of thinking more into the terms of like how women's volleyball there's way more right side play, and men's now there's way more throwing and fast play and all of that stuff. But he mentioned a good point that in the men's game, if you're in system, you always have four options. Right, you're always going to have essentially maybe even 5 options depending on the offense that you're running. Whereas in the women's game, that's simply not the case. That there's certain players who are only going to be an offensive threat in certain situations. There's very few of them, and other than it's it's the usual suspects. We don't really need to go through them. Who are the ones who are going to be able to generate their own offense on a consistent basis.
Yep. So and I like that a lot of the young teams that have outside hitter prospects are leaning more towards the physical scoring outside hitter versus the ball control only outside hitter. For a VNL like this, if you think you can develop somebody who can score in more situations, this is the time to do so.
Yeah.
And I think Italy's kind of leaning into that, and I think that's cool.
But it's interesting that like they clearly don't feel the need to develop anyone in the opposite position. Like you've got
Agonu, the top 5 in the world.
But Antropova isn't even on this roster, right? They're going with Maluau.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
Played week 1.
You've got Agonu, you've got Antropova, you've got Maluau. Hell, you can go to Nwakalor as well, like Sylvia out there. So it's very clear to me that they're like, we're good on the opposite. We're just going to run with Agonu. That's clearly what she wants. Like Agonu wouldn't be here. She didn't want to be.
Yep, agreed.
But they're getting in Nervini. They're getting in these other players to come in, and Nervini and DeGrady mostly. I thought DeGrady has been super solid for them.
Yeah, I mean, after her heartbreak tearing her ACL right before the Olympics last year, it's really good to see her back playing for Italy and playing good ball.
Yeah. Another team that I do want to touch on real quick that we were just talking about is Japan. They were outstanding in week 1, didn't drop a set. Obviously, a lot more shaky in week number 2. Started off by going to 5 with Thailand, which is a little surprising. You have to wonder.
Yeah, you don't love to see that.
Yeah, like they go to 5 with Thailand, and then the 5-setter against Italy leads them to losing to China. Surprisingly, 3-1. They're able to fix things up and take it down against the Czech. But I honestly just think that you lose to Italy at that juncture, and it was like the late match, and then they had to play basically the next morning, less than 24 hours against China, and that was also the second time they had already played 5 sets or 10 sets that week. I think they just kind of lost the hand a little bit against China, but this is a very interesting Japanese team.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm super surprised by what happened to Japan this week. They went 4-0 week 1. They just stunned volleyball there in Ottawa, going 12-0 in sets, but they definitely saw an uptick in caliber of opponent this week with Italy and China.
Yeah.
And they also, I think, were victims of the combination of fatigue and the scheduling. And that's not bad by any means. They're 6-2. They're very clearly going to make the playoffs. And once they get there, we'll see if they can. I think the question right now for me for Japan is, can they beat a good opponent in a quarterfinal game?
Yeah,
kind of depends
I
on
think
the.
so. It really depends. It really depends on the draw.
Exactly.
But and because of how, realistically for me, there's 3 elite teams.
Italy, Turkey, Brazil.
Sorry, 4. Poland.
Poland. I want to talk about them next.
Let's talk about them.
4-0. 4-0 this week, man, in Belgrade. 5-setter against the Dutch, who was a weird team this week. They took care of my United States, as they really should have. 3-dong Germany, 3-1 Serbia. So we'll talk about Serbia later. Poland's depth and the way that Stefano Lavarini manipulated all of the pieces that he had really impressed me this week. Mm-hmm. I mean, Alexandra Gricka, Piotr in the chat is saying, she was absolutely ridiculous in the last match against Serbia. 10 for 15 attacking with 9 blocks and an ace. 20 points.
Wow. Landy
line with authority. Paulina Damaska, I hadn't really heard of. She was pretty good on the left. This girl, Veronika, Tsentka Tietjaniec. That's a brutal last name. She's a middle. She was good. Grabka, their backup setter, who I guess is probably the 3rd setter, depending on Fołosia's situation. She was good. Szczegłowska and then Wysiak, the backup libero, who are kind of liberos 2 and 3. They were both good. And Lavarini, I thought, did the right stuff in giving all those players the right starting opportunities and then long leashes.
Yeah. Well, the key to Poland's success for me has been their serving. They've actually been, I think, one of, if not the best serving team in the tournament.
Somebody says Łukasik is second in aces behind Kira.
So they're at a 3% efficiency, which so the only other team at a 3% efficiency is Japan.
More aces than errors?
Okay, no, it can't be wrong. That can't be right here because
they've
got 43% or 43 aces and 62 errors.
It's a pretty good ratio.
But whereas, the Japanese one is way better. Never mind.
Okay.
47 and 55, but still they're up there in terms of like Italy, for example, is 35 and 64. So they're up there in terms of one of the better, if not second best serving team essentially in the tournament so far. And they've just played a really overall really good style of play I've found.
Yeah, I agree. Both opposites, Stysiak and Smarzek, both been good. Stysiak came in and, she was already in, but after Poland dropped the first set to us, which they really shouldn't have.
No.
Stysiak was the reason that they put their foot on the gas and won the rest of that match. And she was great, and she played to the sustained caliber that we kind of expect from a player like her. But yeah, everybody else I thought was so good, and people, different players took their turns in different matches to be kind of the point scorer that day. I mean, Gricka, the middle of the last match was insane, but then I think against Germany it was Łukasik. She had one insane stat line. I'm trying to remember what match it was in. Let me look this up. Czernianska I thought was also pretty good, so they've definitely got some options. No, Czernianska was the leading scorer against Germany in that 3-dong. So somebody in the chat probably knows which match Łukasik popped off in, but yeah, I thought Poland was super good, and even though they have the kind of safety net of hosting the VNL, they still are putting a really, really good foot forward in the preliminary round against generally pretty good competition.
Yeah, it's fair enough. Are you ready to apologize to your women's team for saying that they wouldn't make the tournament or the playoffs?
So I picked my women to go 6-6 and to finish 9th, which is one spot outside the playoffs. So far, I'm not looking super far off on that. I was very happy with the improvement in week 2 for the United States women. 3-1 is an awesome record for the week. That was a very pleasant surprise. I honestly think that we got really lucky.
When you look at their pure stats, the U.S. is amongst some of the one of the worst teams.
Yeah,
their serving is only
bad.
25 aces to 81 errors.
Our serving is bad. Our reception is bad.
Your reception is downright terrible. 16% positive, 16 perfect, 39% positive,
Bad.
which is worse than Canada. Right, your attacking is not great either. 27, like a 42% kill and 27% efficiency.
So I have two reasons why, despite all those things, because I agree with you, I still don't think that on the eye test we are playing a playoff caliber of volleyball. Our record is pretty good, but the two reasons, despite the bad numbers that were in the picture right now, one is that Serbia is so bad. So bad. And we beat them in that first match and got 3 points, which we probably shouldn't have. And the other reason is Madison Skinner. Skinner this week in 3 matches that she played, and I completely agree, by the way, with giving her the Poland game off, because it was right after the Serbia game where she carried the offense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Switching her back to the right side this week, I'm still not entirely sure what position I think she should play long term.
It's clear she's an opposite. It's clear that she's an opposite.
Right now, she is clearly a better opposite.
But also,
For
there's
the long
no
term,
one.
I still don't know.
There's so much, the way I look at it is that the drop off right now from Maddie Skinner to whoever else is in the opposite position for the U.S. is huge. When we know how important the opposite position is in American volleyball right now, when she's on the left side, she blends in with the rest of them, right? Her lack of ball control makes her at the same level as a Logan Eggleston or somewhere along those lines, right? The U.S. has an abundance of lower ball control, higher offensive power players on the left side. They don't have anyone who can drop 30 on the regular as an opposite.
That's because the other two opposites that
but
we're
even
bringing
those
are
two
still because they're still in the NCAA. I think
no, but even if you're looking at Jordan Thompson and Annie Drews, they're not dropping they're not carrying the team on the regular with dropping 30, right? The numbers that Madison Skinner is putting up in the opposite position right now is the best that the U.S. has seen in a long time from an opposite at the VNL or at the international level in general.
I think there's a little bit more to it than that, but you're not wrong about the raw numbers. I mean, 32 in the 5-setter against Serbia is unbelievable, and every ball went to her because it should have.
And this is also an extension to me of what she was doing in League One this year too, and how she was able to figure out and help really push Austin to win that championship. When I look at this roster, there's a bunch of athletes, and I'm not going to get into it, of who I don't see being long-term international talents, and maybe I'll be wrong, but Madison Skinner is 100% one of those players that I not only think can be an international talent, but could be an international star.
I totally agree with that. She is very much that caliber of athlete. She is able to shoulder the volume that she did at the opposite position in those 3 matches this week and score at that level. Obviously, her first contact is not good. Her position 1 defense when she plays opposite is not good, but it doesn't matter if you can set her that many balls and if she can score 32 points in a 5-setter. So for that reason, opposite makes sense for her right now. For this VNL, she should absolutely stay on the right side if we have any interest in winning any more games. But long term, I think it could still go either way. But other than Maddie Skinner, and I thought the middle blockers played really well this week. That's
been the consistent factor for the USA, though.
Yeah, but then adding Retke and Breon Butler, Retke in particular was really good this week, and then Agility as well continued to play well. Outside of that, and Lexi Rodriguez at libero, I thought was really good.
I did think that to me, that may have put a nail in that coffin in terms. There's been a lot of different libero talk in the USA volleyball spheres, like Fanosphere, and her performance last week might have put the nail in the coffin. We'll see, though.
I mean, to me, Lexi Rodriguez is clearly number 2.
Number 2 behind
Justine Wongarate.
Okay, yeah, but I was talking because it's like you've got
this VNL.
Yeah, you have like Zoe, you have like Fleck, you have
Morgan Hens.
Yeah,
Rodriguez is number 1 in this VNL.
Yeah, but there's just been a lot of talk amongst the 3 of them, and to me, she was hands down the best. I mean,
agree.
I think the big difference was beating the Dutch for you guys. That was the biggest. That was the biggest thing.
I completely agree. So if we go on to make the playoffs, and we have, I think, at least two very winnable opportunities in Arlington in 2 or 3 weeks, the match that will have made the difference for us making the playoffs is the sweep over the Dutch.
Yeah,
that was one that I was definitely not expecting with how well the Dutch played in Ottawa.
I was expecting that to go the other way.
Same.
To be perfectly honest,
Same.
The Dutch weren't nearly as good in week 2 and weren't nearly as decisive in week 2 as they were in week 1. Whereas the U.S. and this is exactly why I picked the U.S. to like make the playoffs and make a run, because this is a team full of good athletes that is, I think, is well coached. USA fans, you might be out there be there being stooges and thinking something else. But to me, it's clear that this team is just going to get better and better as this competition progresses, right? You have the skill, you have the technical ability, you have the athletic ability. It's just figuring out those mental games. So,
yeah, and they're going to continue to add experience as the tournament goes on too, going to Arlington. But yeah, that Dutch game was really stealing one from a team that looked way better than us 2 weeks ago. Like, Dombrink was the only player in double figures, and she had very low efficiency. We completely shut down Nika Dalderup, got her completely out the game. She hit negative efficiency in the first and was out of there. We negated the middles. Von Allen didn't have that much of an effect in her setting ability and just ability at the net making plays. Like, we really handled the Dutch. I mean, 18-22-19. That's like, I assume that many American fans like me were not expecting that. Obviously, a huge pleasant surprise.
Well, let's be honest. The majority of American fans don't know how good the Dutch are.
Probably not. They don't know anything about them.
Exactly. So other than listening to it on this show, they probably haven't seen anything. They probably haven't seen the silky soft smooth hands of Sarah Van Allen.
She's good, man. She's good.
Put you in a blender.
The last thing I want to talk about the U.S. is the left side position. We only really have 3 this week because we brought, if you count Skinner as an opposite, which she's clearly playing that position right now, we had Ronnie Jones-Perry, Sarah Franklin, and Logan Eggleston. Logan Eggleston had the best week statistically. She put up a bunch of points. Her first contact is not good. Her ball control is not good. Ronnie Jones-Perry was on the other side of that. She was clearly the worst statistically. She could serve the ball okay. Offense was nowhere to be found and also not good in first contact. Sarah Franklin was the one that was in the middle, and I was hoping for more from her in the offensive game. But Everett, I swear to God, if I see that girl in a long rally go up against 1.5 blocks and softly tip the ball right to a defender one more time, I'm going to rip my hair out like you have. It's driving me nuts. The girl has an absolutely world-class thumb-down 4-4 cross-court shot and just refuses to take a swing after point 17.
You're really seeing the effects of the NCAA on this left side class. And I'll be perfectly honest, especially when you look at the other depth and the other skill, like the amount of skill that you have in other players. It's just a little tough for me to watch. Like I think Ozzy just said it in the chat there that Franklin gets good stats but like doesn't really impress, and I'm kind of on the same boat like that. It feels to me she's just another Catherine Plummer, but not as just not quite as good.
I think she's a little more like a taller Kelsey Robinson at this point because
But that's not a good position to be in
it's
because
not.
she's not great at ball control. She's not fantastic on defense, right? Like
she's built to be a scorer, and right now she can't score.
100%.
She leads the U.S. in scoring because she's played the most.
Absolutely.
But she needs to be way, way, way more aggressive, or either be coached or empowered to be more aggressive than she's being to become a player that is actually useful in the American system.
100%. Franklin needs Guidetti right now. That's absolutely. But
she is going to Scandicci this year, and I like that. Like getting her in a good Italian gym for a year instead of in League One, I think will be a good step for her.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. It'll be It'll be interesting to see how this American team progresses. Especially like if you're considering that probably in week 3 we're probably going to see like an Avery Skinner come back, right? And that
no reason not to.
If you have an Avery Skinner come back, that completely changes the dynamic on the left side for that team.
Yep, I agree. So we've set ourselves up really well. Could have a great week in Arlington, and very much. I mean, we're going to talk about the playoff race later, but I think we've set ourselves up pretty well, and that Dutch win is really going to be a difference maker. So I'm excited about it. I'm pleasantly surprised.
Yes.
The last like kind of good volleyball I want to talk about before we talk about some pretty bad volleyball is Brazil, and Brazil versus Turkey in particular.
Set a new VNL record, 17,000 fans. Woo!
What a crowd.
17,000 mad Turks getting to
angry,
watch their team
disappointed,
getting to watch Melissa Vargas lay an egg against Brazil.
Disappointed, angry Turks watching Turkey lose to Brazil without Gabi, mostly, and where Ana Cristina, who plays in your league in that city, just completely went off and single-handedly dominated and practically won the game by herself. She was unbelievable.
I mean, yeah, she was unbelievable. You also had Melissa Vargas, who some people are trying to call, like some people call the best player in the world, going 12 for 41 with a 15% efficiency.
Not good enough,
right? And you get really good games from Yaprak and Karakurt, right? 17 from Karakurt, 15 from Yaprak. Those are unprecedented numbers. You don't get left side numbers from Turkish athletes all the time.
Yaprak Erkek off the bench as well.
Yeah. So it is just really tough to see Vargas struggle, and I don't think we've seen a good Vargas now for a while. It's been a minute since we've seen her really at a top-notch level.
Yeah, it has been a minute since that whole 2023 dominant summer. I mean, Fenerbahce down the stretch, the loss to Vakif Bank Champions League was really bad. So, yeah, Turkish fans have to reset the world opposite rankings a little bit because Vargas does not hold a candle to Egonu at this very minute. But, yeah, I wish I could have been there. But I wish I could have been there to feel the energy of those 17,000 people and to feel like the collective souls ripped out of that team and the emotional letdown of them not just losing to Brazil, who they hate so much, but kind of getting stomped on in the fourth set.
But not only that,
25-15 in the fourth.
Like Turkey went out and put out the team.
Mostly.
Brazil's playing without Gabi. Right. And yeah, Ana Cristina is fantastic. But remember, she's a young player. She's like, what, 21?
She is 21 and has already been to 2 Olympic Games.
So she's 21. Holy shit.
Isn't that nuts? She is 21 years old and has been to 2 Olympic Games.
She's the Micheletto of women's volleyball right now. In terms of quality, doing it, and I don't know if she ranks that way, but yeah, you have Ana Cristina who absolutely cooked them, but still
27 points.
But this is how efficient they were. She has 27 points, and you still had 3 other attackers in double digits, right? They had 9 blocks all together.
13 and 11 from the 2 middles. You love to see that. That's really
so
nice.
Just sure you're going a lot to Ana Cristina, but you're also spreading that ball around enough that everyone's getting a taste. Everyone's getting a little bit of that ball, and it's spreading that offense around. It clearly put Turkey in a blender.
Yeah, 39% efficiency as a team is a very good offensive match for Brazil. I mean, Ana Cristina was insane. Julia Bergman was kind of the closer, another player who's played club in Turkey the last couple of years. And then just the Turkish people are going to get mad at us for even bringing this up, but Ebrar Karakurt's celebrations and antics while also getting slapped is just I don't blame all the Brazilians on Instagram in the comments and on Twitter just going nuts and laughing and clowning on the Turks because they, based on the results of this match, just the way that it looked.
She's someone that I've defended vehemently.
You have.
When it's come to this type of behavior, but this week was too much. It started against us. I'm sorry, you're shit-kicking Canada.
Congratulations.
Like a bunch of children without any of the players that that have played against, right? Good for you. Whoop-de-doo. And Twitter was saying the same thing. Discord was saying the same thing. Everyone was on the same page. And it was the same thing in this one. I could understand turning to your team and going let's go.
Of course.
But the way she yells through the net, to me, is just it's very self-serving, right? You got to get on the same team. But to me, that Like, at what point does Santorelli pull her aside and be like, this is detrimental to the rest of the team?
That's a good question.
But then, like, on the flip side of that, where is Karatasu? Right?
Thai fans call Karakurt a pink-haired chicken.
A pink-haired chicken. That's so funny.
That's hilarious. So Karatasu was not allowed to be on the roster because she and Vargas are both naturalized. They cannot both suit up at the same time.
Oh, okay.
So, because I was wondering the same thing when the roster was named, but that they still though they only brought Vargas was the only opposite for the whole week. So, like, at least like give Vargas a game off. Let Karakurt play opposite against Canada, for example.
It's not like Turkey is like Canada, where it's just like the closet is bare. There's so many players to pick from in Turkey.
Lots.
Even without having to go steal them from other countries.
Right. And that's true because they 3-dong Dominican, they 3-dong Canada, they 3-dong Korea. You think that Melissa Vargas really needed to play all those games?
No. But Munich is saying that they can both play after July 2nd.
Okay, so is that when Vargas like crosses over some magical threshold? And
yeah, I think that's when she crosses, because it's like 2 years of being naturalized. I don't know.
I don't want to get into it.
Yeah.
The comment section.
We're gonna get so many Turkish people
mad
at us.
All they're doing is helping our algorithm when they complain at us in the comments. But obviously, good week for Turkey. They beat 3 inferior opponents. But the Brazil loss, I think, especially at ending the week in Istanbul in front of the biggest crowd in VNL history, is gonna, and then 2 weeks off after that to sit on that result.
Yeah,
that'll hurt a little bit.
Yeah,
and it should.
Me picking Turkey was dumb.
I picked them too. Didn't we both pick him to beat Brazil in the final?
Yeah, I think we did. And that. I mean, hey, we'll see what happens. It is very tough to beat a team twice in one tournament, but It's going to be very different with that coming up.
All right, let's keep going down the list of teams a little bit. Germany, really quick on Germany. They went 2-2 this week. Man. They really should have beaten the Dutch in that last game, and they would have been in an even better position at 5-3. Instead, they're 4-4. They've got 14 points. They look like a playoff team right now, and they still don't have everyone. They're still missing like Orthman, Stigroth. I still don't think we've seen the best version of them yet. They had Kastner back setting this week. They have 2 good liberos. They have at least 3 good middles. I'd like to see Leanna Grozer continue to get some time on the left side, as she mostly has. But Germany has played pretty well. They haven't lost any terrible games, and they've put themselves in a spot where if they want to bring everyone and make a push towards the playoffs, they can and should.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this German team. I like them a lot, but I also think that they're not really a threat. I think they're going to make the playoffs and lose in the first round.
I agree.
It's just they're decent. I think they work really hard, but they just don't really have any threats right now, which is also a good thing.
And that's okay. Like, that's nothing against them. They're like one. Like, can you imagine if Kira Van Rijk was German? Like, they're like one.
No,
top 10
We're not playing this game.
I'm not going to offer.
We're not playing this game. We're gonna take their other players.
I like that. Germany is one top 10 opposite in the world away from being legitimately scary, but they don't have that right now.
Yeah, no, and like even with what's her face, Kinderman. Like Kinderman is just a Lidl Dambrink in my eyes. Like Dambrink's way better than
I
Kinderman,
really like that comparison.
And I'm pretty sure Dambrink is like they're both like underside lefties.
Mm-hmm.
You know, who can. Yeah, both swing hard. I don't know. For me, there's like a jumble of teams. Like,
yeah, the next group of teams, they all kind of sit together in my head. Czech, Dominican, the Dutch had a bad week. Bulgaria, Belgium,
France.
France, I actually kind of liked this week. Of the teams in that middle mix, I liked that team.
Yeah, but when you add in Julien and
Julien is awesome,
and
Kazot is awesome, but the difference to me is Iman Ndiaye. This opposite. She's like a walking 30-point bomb waiting to explode, and that is kind of like what they've been missing. They still need a great setter. They still need like threatening middles. They're definitely not scary, but they're far outside the relegation picture at this point.
Oh yeah, no. To me, if you've got 3, like right now, like if you've got 3 wins, you're safe.
Agreed. And
right?
France does.
I think the Bees, in terms of Bulgaria and Belgium, both of them have done a pretty good job of getting past it. Bulgaria, I I really like a few pieces on Bulgaria, but it's their women's team is like their men's team. You've got a few nice pieces in there, and then a few not so great ones.
They also, I think, are in the point where they lack a lot of depth, and if they have to play the same group 4 matches in 5 days every week, they will fall apart later in the tournament, which I think is kind of what we saw Bulgaria-wise. I mean, 4-set loss to Italy, that's fine. 5-set loss to China, nothing wrong with that. Swept by Czechia is not good.
I don't really mind it. Czechia's proven. And that's the thing is like Czechia to me has proven to be more than capable in this tournament.
I have a lot of respect for Czechia.
But like I look at France, Bulgaria, Belgium, Czechia. Like you've got 4 teams from Europe there who have like battled in different ways over whether it's Euros, whether it's Golden League, and all of that. I honestly, for me, it's a toss up between all of those teams.
Yeah, and none of them are going to get relegated. I think it's safe to say.
No. Do we want to talk about the relegation teams?
Unless you have any takes about, like, I don't have any opinions about Dominican. They had a pretty bad week. Almost losing to Korea was not good.
This Dominican team is tough because you've got a 19-year-old setter out there.
Yeah.
I think Ariana Rodriguez is doing a fantastic job for who she is and what she is, but there's still a lot of change to be done there. And the reality is that Dominican plays a different style than the rest of the world. And Dominican also has there's a few things there. I think Dominican is sick and tired of their coach, and this is just my own views of Marcos Kvivek, and they've had him for so long, and it just seems to be like a drone on. They need to adapt their style a little bit. It's way too straightforward.
I agree.
To the point where it's like I watch them play, and it's just the same old thing, time and time again. But like the reality is that they're physical. Like Braylon Martinez is supremely physical. She's the most physical outside, like left side we have in the world in terms of like height and her ability to hit, and like she's not that skilled. It's
probably her or Fedorovtseva,
but she's more physical. Like Fedorovtseva might hit harder, but Braylon Martinez is
like
more physical,
bigger, stronger.
The same thing with Gaia. Like she's a good lefty who can hit the ball hard and is like a veteran and stuff like that. But they don't really adapt their style a little bit. Yeah, they're just like the comparisons between them and Cuba on the men is
so spot on.
There's so many to make. There's so numerous. So yeah, I honestly I wouldn't be surprised because like who do they have throughout? Who do they have in their next 4 matches? Like I wouldn't be surprised if they made the playoffs, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they finished like 13th.
Dominican has China, United States, Thailand, Germany.
So like they could honestly go 1-3 or they could go 4-0. That's the problem with
exactly.
Dominican. Fuck, they could go 0-4 too. They could lose to Thailand. You know?
They could.
So yeah,
they almost lost to Korea. Like they kind of tried to lose to Korea. They were up, I think, 14-11 and got pushed to overtime in the 5th. Like that was bad.
Well, they didn't. So
we'll get to that. Also, we've alluded to it a few times, but the Dutch had a rough week.
Yeah, I mean, I think we already talked about them. We don't really need to go over them again.
There's 4 teams left.
Shit. I mean, we might as well jump into it now. I talked a lot of shit about Korea.
Yeah, so
and then we went out and laid the absolute biggest egg against them.
I would love to hear your opinions on this, and then I in the chat will decide if you are taking the appropriate amount of self-shame.
Oh no, this is fucking bad.
Okay,
like I'm not gonna pull a you and be like, oh no, this is what we expected. Like I was worried about it the night before when we did our show. Whenever, like earlier in the week when we did our show, I was seriously worried about it. And I think it happened in the worst way possible.
Oh, it did.
Like honestly,
really
a 3-dong would have been worse. It would have been better, in my opinion. But going up 8-0, like going up 2-0, letting them open the door back that's what happened, right?
Yep, you were you were down 2-0.
Okay, no, so we were down 0-2. That was this. Waking up at 5:30 for that, I was so mad, and then I fell asleep at the beginning of the 3rd. And woke up to us winning. And I was like, oh my God, yes. Oh my God, yes. Fell asleep again in the 4th. We win that one too. And I'm like waking up like basically right at the beginning of the 5th. And I'm like punching the air. I'm so happy. And then
you're up 8-3.
Bro, we just... to me, this is just an overall view of the biggest issues in Canadian volleyball. This isn't just a thing that, this team is dealing with. But we've seen it with the men's team in the past. We've seen it on the beach. Like, we've seen it with the sitting teams where, like, we play way better as the underdogs. And as soon as we start being the winners, we start to shit ourselves and we start to completely forget what we're able to do. I mean, we saw it with the men's team in week 1 going to 5 against Argentina in France. We played fantastic through 4 sets and then played terrible in the 5th. Like, it happens on the beach too. Like Mel and Brandy are really the only ones who have been able to escape that within Canadian volleyball. So yeah, like, we got there and we froze up. We passed terribly. We couldn't run our offense. No one wanted to swing, and it was a tough watch. It was a tough watch all the way through. If we get relegated, because now it's a very much a possibility, because, like, let's be honest, we did it twice because we were up 13-9 against Belgium in the last match of the week too.
Something like that.
So yeah, if we get relegated, it's completely on us. It was a tough watch, but, like, there's also a lot of learning points in there. Like, you've got some young kids out there. Like, we're not used to having, a 19-year-old, 20-year-old, whatever she is, Abby Guzin, out there competing. Anna Schmreck is the same thing. Like, we didn't expect her to be out there. And I know Abby didn't really play in the Belgium game. I think it was mostly Hillary and Andrea, but those are both players to me that need to step up and need to be, like, better leaders and really, like, step up for this team and lead them. I thought down the middle, we've been really strong down the middle with Maglio, and Dolly is really becoming someone that I'm excited to watch. And we saw Jazz Gray come in a little bit as well too, and she's always been super solid in my books.
Jasmine White.
One of those colors, who knows? And then I was also like, there's some definite issues with the setting, but it's not terrible. It's not the worst thing in the world. And then Schmreck is. I'm gonna say this, Rob. I have a massive, after what I've seen over the past couple of weeks in VNL, specifically from Schmreck and Franklin, I would have a serious concern about sending any players to go develop at Wisconsin. Schmreck, for what she is, lacks a lot of things. And, like, there's a lot of like it's the same thing too, just a lot of tipping and continuing. And you know what, to me, like tell me if I'm wrong, because I don't watch the NCAA that much, but to me, like, Wisconsin builds on, like, continuing the ball and getting a lot of blocks.
That's partially true.
Like, they've got like a big offensive like the big offense that's dynamic, and they are able to spread that out. But, like, it's way easier to get one-on-ones in the NCAA than it is internationally. And especially with the ball that Schmreck needs on the right side. Like, she's got a lot of hands on her. And sometimes I think she plays really great, and then she just kind of, when she's confident, I love Anna Schmreck. I love the confidence that, like, she came into, like, the Turkey match, for example. Like, the starting of that match, she was really swinging. But then when we get into the biggest situations, she really starts to cower away.
Exactly like you said about the team as a whole played so much better against Turkey and Brazil both. Like, really had a chance in just about all 6 of those sets. I know you didn't win one, but like, against teams of that talent caliber, without Kira, Bree, Alexa, you shouldn't win that much.
It really shows how we had 4, and, like, Guidetti said it in our interview, there's 4 athletes, and then there's a massive drop-off after that. And I do... it partly comes back to how the program has been run over the past few years too, and the very few opportunities have been given to anyone but the starters.
Partially out of necessity.
Like,
race.
it's the other side to what some people viewed needed to happen.
Right.
So you can't really. But yeah, like, this sucked. It was terrible because, like, I was so hopeful watching Turkey and especially Brazil. Like, at points we led Brazil, like, and we were really bad. Like, not necessarily battling with them. They could have, like, they had another level to go to, and we were still at our level.
I think it was the 3rd set against Brazil that I really thought you guys had.
Yeah, me too. I thought we were going to be able to, like, and I was like, oh yeah, let's at least take one set.
Yeah.
And we weren't able to do it, unfortunately, and then just so frustrating against Belgium. Because, like, once again, it required another 30 bomb from Britt Herbots, right? It required a massive game from Britt Herbots, but then we haven't found out how to win yet. And I mean, even our other wins like weren't clean. Even our other wins had to be done in 5. So even with our top
Serbia
players,
and who else did you beat?
Bulgaria.
Bulgaria, that's right.
Right.
That's right.
So, yeah, I mean, no, I'm not going to sit here and cower away from it. That was terrible. If we get relegated, we deserve it.
I will say, if it makes you feel better, the mathematical chance you get relegated is pretty darn
low, but it's not impossible.
It is not impossible. So Canada has 2 wins. That helps hugely. The other teams, I mean, they're the only team with 2 wins. The 2 teams that have 1 win are Thailand and Korea. And then Serbia, who we'll talk about in a minute, obviously has 0. So it's one of those 4 teams is going to get relegated. Canada would have to probably go 0-4 and have the other teams all at win at least 1 game in order for it to come into play. Like,
yeah, but that's so the thing is that like Korea, because if Canada wins 1 game, it'll be against Thailand.
Yep.
Right. And
Canada, Thailand play head to head.
Right.
And the last game of the tournament.
If Thailand wins that game, then they would beat us on the point differential. I'm pretty sure, unless we win it in 5. I think that's the situation there.
Either way, if that game goes 5, both are safe. I think.
But if like Korea, maybe Korea pops off a random win against like Bulgaria or France, Poland or Japan, that's not happening.
No.
But Bulgaria could happen with how, like, especially it's towards the end of the tournament. How tired are they? What's all of that looking? And the same thing with France. Like, all they need is that 1 win, and then they basically.
Yeah, I think France looks more than good enough to take care of Korea. Bulgaria is a weird one. I mean, I could see a world where that game goes to 5, but I don't know. I mean, to give Korea a little bit of credit, they are playing with a hell of a lot more passion and intensity than previous years. They still suck.
Yes.
But I do think that it looks to me like they want to be there more than previous years because now there's a consequence for their sucking for the first time. But also, did you see the report that the Federation is offering them something like 32,000 USD per player for wins in VNL?
Well, you're welcome. Yeah. You are welcome.
A good point by STBT in the chat. Can't predict anything about Thailand. They are a roller coaster, and I don't really know how to predict them either. I mean, on one hand, they take, Japan to 5, and then Bulgaria to 5, and then they get killed by Italy. I mean, that's fine, but then you get killed by Czech. Like, I don't really understand what's going on there either. And even if really, really good Thailand could beat shitty Canada, but I don't. How likely is it that we get really, really good Thailand?
How likely is it that we get good Canada?
Probably not likely. I don't know.
How likely is it that we go up 2-0 and just throw it into the fire? Right? Like, so the thing is for me is the things that I really like is that we're losing also by like making a lot of errors by trying to be aggressive. Like, you've seen this team, because like even in like the majority of the time when we're playing with Belgium, it's fine. Like we're going back and forth with them. It's just towards the end of that. Like, we're seeing that progression with Guidetti. And that's like, if we can just get through this year, then it's a much different story for us. But yeah, when I look at, like, do you want to talk about Serbia?
It's time.
Yeah, I think it's talk about Serbia because they're
a dumpster fire.
They're a dumpster fire, and they are seriously on the brink of being relegated. Like, when we look at their schedule this week, the next week, this is going to be a terrible schedule for them, and they need to get minimum 2 wins. No, depending. If they get 1 win, they're safe. That's all they need is 1 win.
They've got a lot of 5-set losses, so if they win,
if they get 1 win and there's another team with 1 win, they're safe. 100%.
Yeah. So they Thailand and Korea would have to both get a win to bring them to 2, and then Serbia would be in big trouble. But like, regardless of the math, and I do think that Serbia plays Belgium in week 3, and I think that I heard that Belgium might not be bringing Britt Herbots because they've got 3 wins and they might not need her at this point. If somebody knows in the chat, is Britt Herbots playing week 3, please let us know. I'm just more concerned about what Serbia looks like. They look awful. And to me, the biggest culprit is Zoran Terzic.
Bro, there is zero. Like, they do not look like they want to play for him, right? And especially...
That man, like, founded their program. He coached them back when they were Yugoslavia.
Yeah, but that to me is why. That to me, like, like that, like there is such a generation gap between that, and we know how athletes have changed and whatnot. Like, how many athletes did they add back on this past week from week one?
Not very many, and all they did was lose athletes because, like, Tiana Bošković was there in the house all week, but she was in street clothes. She didn't play. She was dealing with back issues. They did say that she got cleared to play for match number 4, but Terzic said that it would have been irresponsible to play her with, like, her having not practiced, which I agree with. So I think we expect her to play week 3, but then missing Uzelac, who carried them week 1. She not having her hurt massively.
Well, to me, it's just like, I keep on hearing, Mirkovic is shit, but when you look around, who does she have?
The setting is bad,
but it's also, you don't like
Bukilic is terrible.
She has one shot. She has one shot, and it's just straight down the line. Like, you need to be able to dish her all the way for the pin for it to be able to open it up. Dangubic is
hurt and
like 50% at best.
Yeah.
So it's just, to me, it's just like you're opening up that cupboard in Serbia, and they're looking more and more like Canada, where you're really, really good on the top end, and you don't have much in the cupboard over there.
It's not that ridiculous.
I don't think it's that.
It's not.
Like,
not that crazy to say. Then just like the body language and the, like, I know I was talking a couple of weeks ago. I don't put that much stock in coach speak and behavior during timeouts, really, but it is a little bit alarming watching Zoran Terzic try to communicate with those players. Their middles are good blockers in Aleksic and Kurtagic, but they're not good on offense.
No,
especially when you have a setter who's so bad. Their libero position is a revolving door. They truly need, in order to stay alive this VNL, they have to have Tiana Bošković come out the clouds like the savior she is and get them 2 wins.
But to me, the fact that he wasn't in Ottawa is
crazy.
Is wild. I
didn't show up to the press conference Tuesday morning in Belgrade.
I had the idea too that he was back in Belgrade working with their A team, but that hasn't been the case at all. Right? So I don't know what
are they doing.
I have no idea what's happening over there, and it's like when you look at the men, how bad they've been doing. Like, the men, we'll talk about that later, but like Serbian volleyball in a free fall right now, and
at home.
2
weeks straight in Belgrade, women's then men's. The women
home
going 0-4 at home, and like this, like watching.
Like, can we take Serbia out from being a volleyball country and replace Canada? Like, the only thing they've got over us right now is the having leagues. Like, we're better than like like.
Yikes.
I know that's a little extreme, but like, yeah.
The Maya Aleksic's post-game interview after the third match that they lost, which was the France 5-setter, completely a game that Serbia should have won. But like, it was heartbreaking. The disappointment that the players are clearly feeling playing at home and playing so bad, like it is really weighing upon them, and I would be heartbroken too if I was playing that badly and if I was the reigning world champion. I was sitting 0-8, but something has to change in the way that team is being led and communicated to. Something has to change, even if the leadership comes from Tiana Bošković, like Cuba style. If Cuba doesn't have any coaches, they don't have anything. They don't have any leadership. They have a federation who doesn't even know how to fucking get them visas. But they have Robert Landy Simone, who can sometimes be that figure to produce good volleyball from within each of those guys. If that has to be Bošković, then so be it.
But maybe she's just not that type of, like, like, that's like, you can't impose someone's character.
Right. You can't like force her to do that if that's not her thing. But she hasn't played, and obviously she's a great on-court player, and she'll come back probably week 3. And I don't think that Serbia will get relegated, because Bošković against Belgium without Herbots has to be a win. It has to be. And that alone, I think, would probably be enough on tiebreakers.
As I said, all they need is the one win.
Unless Korea and Thailand both win a game.
True. that's where it gets a little sketchy.
So the team schedule breakdown to look at the relegation race for week number 3. Canada has 2 wins, so they're the most comfortable. They have Germany, China, United States, and Thailand. Thailand has 1 win. They have the United States, Germany, Dominican Republic, and then Canada. So obviously that last game is the most important. Korea has Poland, Japan, Bulgaria, and France. Serbia has Czechia, Italy, Belgium, Turkey. So Serbia will for sure lose 2 of those games. Mm-hmm. Maybe Bošković is good enough for them to beat Czech and Belgium sans Herbots. If I had to pick, I still think it's Korea that gets relegated.
Yeah, I think so too. Like I don't know. I just don't trust Bulgaria. Mostly, I trust France more than I trust Bulgaria.
Me too.
Just Bulgaria has been, and someone even said Bulgaria said they're not going to bring their starters.
Oh, yikes.
And that scares me.
Ooh,
that scares me a lot.
Yikes.
So
if that's true, then maybe that's Korea's win right there, and then maybe Serbia's screwed. It's going to be spicy, y'all.
But then Serbia still could get 2, and then we're screwed.
Then all you would have to do is beat Thailand, and then Thailand is screwed.
You keep saying that like it's going to be an easy thing.
I'm
Have you not watched Canadian women's volleyball over the past week?
It's been bad. What I'm saying is that your fate at least is in your own hands. I think Serbia...
That's even worse. That's what I'm scared of. That is exactly what I'm scared of right now. Oh, man. Like, the last thing I want is this team to have to go to a 5th set against Thailand.
That would be a disaster.
Like, that may be the end of me.
That would be a disaster.
That may be the end of me. So, yeah, no, I don't want it to be. I don't want it to be in our hands. Because I really don't know. Like, the thing is as I said, like, I think that if we can get through this, it's going to be a massive boost for this program because the learning opportunities that are out there are tremendous. But if we don't make it through, it could also be the end of the program.
It could be
right.
It will be difficult to recover from if Canada does in fact get relegated.
The only hope. Oh no, we're playing in fucking Texas. I was about to say the only hope is that the local fans get behind us, and there's no way Texas fans are getting behind Canada right now.
Probably not.
So fuck.
Okay.
Do you want to go over the playoff teams
Yeah.
real quick? Because there's 4 teams who are sitting at 4-4 with 500 records. Those 4 teams range from 7th to 10th, basically. It was Germany in 7th, USA in 8th, Czechia in 9th, and Dominican at 10. 3 of those teams essentially play each other, which is interesting. Germany plays Canada, Thailand, China, and Dominican. The U.S. plays Thailand, Dominican, Canada, and China. Czechia plays Serbia, Turkey. I have Czechia here, so there's no way that could be. That's not right.
Oh, it's okay. I've got it. I'll look up.
Yeah, Serbia, Turkey, Belgium, and someone else that I fucked up. And China, USA, Thailand, and Germany will be the Dominican.
Czechia has Serbia, Turkey, Netherlands, and Belgium.
Netherlands. Okay.
So yeah, I guess Germany, USA, and Dominican, all 3 of those teams are going to be in Arlington, along with Canada, China.
So like Czechia actually has a low key good chance because if the Netherlands are playing with Nika Dalderop, but I guess that she hasn't really played for them much.
And she was really bad this week when she did play. Yeah, Czechia, like they'll presumably lose to Turkey, but Serbia, even with Bošković in her first game back, you never know. Netherlands, you never know. Belgium with no Herbots is a solid matchup. Like, we could be talking about Czechia in the playoffs.
We could, but I mean, Germany has 2 games
Canada,
for
Thailand,
sure.
yeah,
and then China and Dominican are toss-ups. I think they can go 3-1.
I think they can go 3-1 as well.
USA is the same thing,
at
the very least. But honestly, I think your team should be going 4-0.
I don't know if we. It just totally depends on who we bring. If we bring, like, you mentioned Avery Skinner earlier, if we bring like her, Jordan Poulter into set like that I would like to see the quality of volleyball that could go 4-0 against Thailand, Dominican, Canada, China.
Like, if you bring in a Jordan Poulter and an Avery Skinner, that changes the makeup of this team
for
completely.
Sure, completely.
It's
like we've found something of an answer at every other position except for left side and setter. And if we bring Avery Skinner and Jordan Poulter in, so that totally depends on our roster.
That's where USA finishes 4th.
That you picked. That's not impossible. They also could finish 6-6 and miss out on tiebreakers, like I predicted. Anything's still possible. And Dominican's a real wild card too, man. I don't understand them very well. I find them really hard to predict.
Yeah, it's all about what team wants to show up that day. So we'll see.
All right. Before we move off the women, want to acknowledge our community's superlatives for the week.
Yep.
Shout out to our guy Jemmy for coordinating this as always, and for all of you in the Volleyball Source Discord who voted. The team of the week this week was Brazil. And I was interested by that pick because we had two teams go undefeated in Italy and Poland, but Brazil, who I think also went undefeated. Yeah, they did.
I didn't think we had that many Brazilians in the Discord, but maybe we do.
I don't know if it's Brazilians. I think it's just people that were impressed by that Turkey win. And I don't blame them. I think like of the teams that did go undefeated, the Italy-Japan game was really good. But Brazil had like the most emphatic win of that group.
Fair enough.
The disappointing team of the week, obviously, is Serbia.
I mean, you go 0-4 at home.
It's really bad.
That way, that is terrible.
It's the only thing saving Canada from being in that spot. The surprise of the week, I'm sorry, Everett, was Korea.
Yikes.
Beating Canada and also getting a point against Dominican. So they got 3 points this week. That's more than they have in many previous VNLs. The matches of the week in each location. In Hong Kong, it was the Italy-Japan game, which we said was an instant classic. Belgrade, the community voted France beating Serbia in 5. I can live with that one. And then Istanbul, unfortunately, was Korea-Canada. I totally disagree with that. I think like Brazil-Turkey was clearly the match of the week over there.
Yeah. Korea-Canada, that wasn't a fun match to watch.
It was a disgusting, horrible match to watch. The young player of the week was Anna Cristina, 2-time Olympian at age 21. The stooge of the week is very obviously Zoran Terzic. I completely support that choice. Then the dream team of the week, the setter was Zhang Jishuan from China, the youngster. The outsides were Anna Cristina and Elena Kazut from France. The opposite was Yukiko Wada. I think that could have gone to a few different people.
Like who?
Like Ndiaye from France was probably who I would have voted for.
Okay. I don't hate that.
Or maybe Stasiak, but Wada in that Italy game was awesome. The middles were Julia Kutis from Brazil and Camila Weitzel from Germany. And then the libero was the queen herself, Moki De Gennaro.
Yeah, I like all
list.
of that. I can't really disagree with that. Us being terrible was, it's... Trust me, I'm not sitting here and saying that we deserve time. Like, no, that's unacceptable. That's not unacceptable. I'm not going to pull you out here and start making declarative statements like that. But yeah, no, it really sucked, and our team is better than that. And the reality is that even though I don't think we should have lost those games, I think we should have won both of those games, not handedly, but I think we should have won both those games in 5. Like we said, we were prepped to do, you know?
Yeah, those 2 fifth sets were pretty rough to watch, but it was a fun, dramatic week, and now I'm really interested that the players now get 2 full weeks off.
True.
Before the stretch run, 2 full weeks of downtime to rest, to practice, to watch film, to like scrutinize the matchups and the tie break scenarios, and it's gonna be interesting.
Definitely is.
Is there anything else we need to hit about women's VNL? I think we did a pretty solid job.
I think we did a pretty good job on that. It's way easier when I'm at home and I'm able to watch matches from, like, even this week I was at the bachelor party and I was still I was actually up at 3 a.m. to watch the matches.
Yeah, you were more plugged in than I thought you were going to be. You're on the Discord with the coffee on the deck, looking at the woods and the lake.
Well, that one was lucky because Friday morning, it was just 4 of us. There was just a small group that went up on Thursday night, and it didn't get as rowdy. Even though I actually managed to go for runs on Friday morning and on Saturday morning.
That is a pretty crazy move on a bachelor
party.
A respectable one.
Me and the groom, shout out Matt, went for a nice little 6K on both Friday mornings. So yeah, Friday morning was great. I woke up, watched a little ball, got a coffee, sat on the deck in front of the trees and the lake, watched a great match, went for a run, and then I would just tune in throughout the day. The boys were all sitting on the dock playing some beer pong. I'd just tune into whatever game was on. We're sitting around the table talking shit at 3 a.m. Turn on whatever game was on. So
fantastic.
I had a couple of guys watching Bulgaria and Thailand with me, what I was Sunday morning early
of all the games.
Yeah. Well, it was a game that was on.
Yeah.
And
I get it.
That's what, like, I was getting chirped pretty hard, and they're like, bro, like, who the fuck cares about Thailand and Bulgaria? And I was like, unfortunately, I do.
Yeah,
like, it was very much like a wake up moment. It was like, oh shit, like, I'm that much of a nerd that Bulgaria and Thailand is an interesting match for me.
Ooh, well, we're in the right place, Mr. Delorme, because you're here in Chicago for Men's Week 2.
Exactly, Joe.
So, yeah, I knew you would like that comment.
The Canadian cigarette, exactly.
You had one or two of those today in Chicago.
Just one,
which is totally fair game around here. So
it's so expensive here, like 4 or 5 times, or maybe not, actually like 6 or 7 times more expensive than it is at home.
That's a state of Illinois thing.
Holy shit!
People in Michigan say that, or people from Illinois drive to Michigan to make their purchases of that type, just because it's mad cheap. Anyway,
ridiculous.
We had a fun day today in Chicago. We got to be a little touristy, but we also got to attend the introductory press conference for week 2. The teams that are here in Chicago for the men week 2 are United States, Poland, Italy, Brazil, Canada, and China. Out in Belgrade, you have Serbia, Argentina, Cuba, Germany, Iran, and Netherlands. And then in Burgas, Bulgaria, you have Bulgaria, France, Japan, Slovenia, Turkey, Ukraine. You already uploaded the press conference. You can see it here on this very YouTube channel. Some of you watched it live. You heard Everett and I asking some questions to the players and to Coach Karchkirai. What were your takeaways from the press conference, if any?
Honestly, it was a little less direct than the other press conferences I've been at. Just in terms of of some of the questioning. It was hard to get a grasp on, I thought like the main focus was on Karch.
Yeah.
And that was going to be the way it was. I thought we got a lot of good insight from Karch in terms of what he thinks of this team. I don't think he minced any words too, in just in terms of where he thinks they're going to be. He's clearly like a very good politician and coach, just how he was talking about it. But yeah, I thought overall it was pretty good. Semeniuk being there was pretty cool. Looks like the Italian guy, Galassi, was out there. It's funny that they sent Galassi since he just joined the team. Eric seemed to be, we chatted with Eric, a little bit before, and then afterwards quite a bit afterwards. We sat with him after they.
Yeah, he actually broke some Champions League news to us about the wild cards.
He did.
It's a nerd out about a lot of club volleyball.
Yeah, so it seems like, and like we talked to a few of the other boys, like Isaacson was there, and Niggy and Champlin and Shane
Holdaway and Ensing and
Ensing as well too. So yeah, the vibes seemed really good amongst the USA boys. We also saw Canada guys, and the vibes seemed really good amongst them too. So I think this week is really exciting because you finally have some of those elite guys. Like you have the Italys, you have the Polands, and you have the Brazils all here with like some elite pieces. Like Lucarelli is another guy who's going to be playing here this week.
I remember the first time I saw Lucarelli in person was in Ottawa 2 weeks ago, and I was
2 years.
So yeah, thank you. 2 years ago, 20 and 23. I was blown away by his just all around volleyball skill and game in person. And for Brazil to have gone 3-1 at home and then to be able to add a guy like that is going to produce some very good volleyball from them this week that I'm excited to see.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think like you've got amongst the elite teams, and I'm not considering you guys in there right now just because of the makeup of your roster.
To me, there are 3. It's Italy, Poland, and France right at the minute.
Well, I think here, like, you can consider Brazil an elite team.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
In this setup right now, and I mean, they brought in like Lucarelli and Chizoba, so you're bringing in people, or maybe Chizoba was on the roster week 1, but
yeah, they were doing a little like 3-way rotation with opposites
like,
week 1.
Like I still think that this Brazilian team has some depth out there, so I'm actually really interested to see how they operate in person, especially because in week 1 I didn't get to watch anything. So these teams like Poland and essentially, all the teams but like Italy and
you saw Italy and Canada already, but you didn't see this version of Italy.
No, I didn't see Micheletto and Lavia.
Yeah, Micheletto, Lavia, Spertoli, Balasso, Galassi, I'd say are the big additions. Cortesia as well in the middle for whatever that's worth. But this is, other than Russo, who would start in the middle if he wasn't injured, this is an Olympic team.
Yeah,
that Italy brought.
Yeah,
and they are. Do you guys play them? We play them on Sunday.
No, we don't play Italy at all.
Oh, because you played all the scrimmages against them. But I'm very excited to see them in person from like a volleyball fan perspective. I am terrified to try and play them on Sunday night. I have a feeling that match will not go well.
That'll be that one will get to the bar quickly.
Yeah, that'll be an hour in a shower, and probably by that time in the week we might be in the mood for something like that. But on that subject, with Italy being so good, and with us playing them in the last match of the weekend, I'm wondering if there's some thoughts circling around Karchkirai, Eric Shoji, and that American team's heads of basically winning a road game on Saturday night and beating this Polish team.
How?
I think that so. Poland has, at the last second, they have Alexander Śliwka, who got on a plane like 2 nights ago to replace Rafał Szymura,
Like I just don't.
which is a bummer. They also have Semeniuk and Shalpuk, great. Sasak on the right, have been playing great. They have Komenda in at setter, who's replacing Firle to like kind of be the guy this week. They have a bunch, in my opinion, of clones in the middle, and then they have
okay. You're naming that they have a really good roster.
Then they have liberos that are forgettable. I think that game is winnable.
In what, like, break this down for me, please, because you did not answer. You just rambled on like that was a Trump answer. I asked how, and you went and described their roster.
Yeah,
that roster, player to player, is better than your roster except for one position.
2 positions.
1 position.
Setter and libero.
No.
Micah Ma'a is better. And Quinn Isaacson are both better than either setter on that team.
You're saying no.
Yes, Komenda just won a Plusliga.
No, you're not telling me that Ma'a or Isaacson are head over heels better.
I didn't say head over heels.
And I'm saying no.
Fine, then that you can have that opinion.
You get one. You get Shoji at libero.
That one's very obvious. If we can do a better job on first contact than we did in week 1, which we will because Eric Shoji is around, I think our offense has a chance to make them legitimately uncomfortable. I think we could be looking at some one-on-ones. I think we could have some of their middle blockers chasing people. I think that our threat down the middle of the court is an actual factor this week, and I think that like probably Kyle Ensing on the right side is primed to play great against a Polish team that he saw all club season. I'm not saying that we will win. I think there's much more of a chance that we beat Poland than before this week. I think
you should focus on us in China.
I'm very focused on China because I know nothing about them. And like we were talking to Eric Shoji today, it's like really they're an impossible team to scout because like we don't know really who any of them are.
This is a ridiculous take from you.
I'm very focused on
this is a ridiculous take from you that you think that they're gearing up to beat Poland.
I think that they could after we play
No. You
listen to me.
Okay, let's go.
2 games. Wednesday, Thursday. We're off on Friday. If we break the week up into those 2 blocks of 2 games each, I see a world where we understand the Italy matchup on Sunday is not winnable. And we throw every resource available at Poland on Saturday and see what happens.
Okay, what I'm saying is that every resource available against Poland is like shooting a bow and arrow at a tank.
If it was Poland's like proper Olympic roster, it would be. It's not that lopsided.
But just on the left side, the depth alone is massive. Like, I'm sorry, Sasak passes up Ensing.
Yeah, he does.
Like, even if we want to give you a setter, which I think is absolutely incredible that you think either Isaacson or Ma'a are physically better. Like, yeah, you can throw the kitchen sink at Poland. I don't think it's going to be enough.
It might not be.
It wasn't enough to throw the kitchen sink against a tired-ass Slovenia. How do you think you can go up against Olympians in Poland?
Because we didn't have Shoji, Ma'a, Ensing.
Okay, so you're going to be playing against better players at every single position almost who aren't tired. Like, I don't know. I think this is one of your worst. This is one of your worst homer takes.
I feel some level of optimism about that Poland game, and I'm not going to apologize for it. I am much more immediately concerned about China and Canada. So the roster came out today, like the official, rosters were finalized shortly ago. I still don't know what's going on with Zhang Jingyin of China. He's their best player. He's amazing. He is listed as an alternate. So I think we don't have to worry about him tomorrow. I think that is a game that we can win. I honestly don't know anything about China, but my main focus is beating your ass on Thursday. And
yeah, you're working on that real hard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's your main focus that you're working towards.
It's I mean, I'm not doing anything. I'm like, yeah, I'm not apologizing for any of this. I don't care about what any of you all have to say. I wear my heart on my sleeve for USA men's volleyball, and I want us very badly to beat your ass and make you wear a USA shirt to interview your team. That is the wager, as always. By the way,
beat your ass is like you're acting like it's going to be a beatdown.
I want us to win the match, and I think
it will not be a beatdown.
Probably not.
In any sense.
I think we win the match 3-1, like I said last week.
I think we win the match 3-1.
Fine.
I don't know. You guys. Yeah, we'll have to see on that. It's a little crazy for me to think that you're thinking you can come into this week and like this is gonna be a tough week for you guys. It's gonna be a tough week for us too. Don't get me wrong. Like I know it's gonna be tough for us. Like I'm expecting Team Canada volleyball to be not like take a step back, but hit some roadblocks here, right? Like we're not playing at home. It's not the magic of playing at home. It's not like you're starting to get into it. Things start to get, you're on the road. Things start to get a little bit tired. Like I'm not expecting Canada to break out and do anything special, but expecting USA to beat, thinking that USA is going to beat Poland, I think is
say we're going to. I think we can. So we play China, Canada, then day off, then Poland, then Italy. You have Brazil, then us, then I think you have Poland the last day. I think you have a day off, then China on Saturday.
Let's pull this up. I can't remember.
Oh, I have a tab. Brazil, USA, Poland, China. You have China last. You have Poland on Saturday. No, you have Poland
on Friday.
On Friday, and you have Saturday off. So you have the 3 matches in 3 days schedule.
So that's a good thing for us for China. On like if we have the day off before China, that's a good.
Yeah, that honestly, I would way rather play China last than first. Just like understand who they are that particular week and like what's going on.
Yeah. No, I think we go 2-2 this week. Same thing. Like lose to Brazil, beat you guys, lose to Poland, beat China.
I think we probably will also go 2-2. We beat China, we beat you, we lose to Poland, we lose to Italy. If that happened, I would be pretty happy.
Yeah.
Depending on obviously it's as I've said, it's not about the results. It's about the eye test, the quality of volleyball, the ability to improve. But we're playing at home. This is a rare and cool opportunity. I'm hoping that the guys do care about the results of the games. Obviously, they will. They're elite athletes. They're not going to go out in a game and try to lose, but they're going to try and play good volleyball, and I think that can produce at least 2 wins.
I honestly think we have a better shot against Brazil than people think we do. Because like
that is a game I'm really interested in.
We've beaten Brazil at the BT. Like this group has beaten Brazil with a lot of these players on that roster. Sure, like they didn't have Cachopa and stuff like that, but it was Darlin, it was Mikey, it was like a lot of those like
Lucas
Bergman, Adriano, like these types of players were on that roster. So I think we're gonna look. I'm not coming out here and saying that we're going to necessarily beat Brazil, but I think we're going to give them a good run, and that's going to be an interesting match. I love the fact that we're coming up against Brazil right away.
I think tomorrow in Chicago is going to be an amazing day of matches. I mean, Italy, Poland first to kick off the entire week, even with Poland slightly undermanned compared to Italy. Well, they're pretty undermanned compared to Italy. Still, that match should be good. Canada, Brazil, I think is going to be really fun, like you said, and then USA, China, a game that we really kind of need to win against an unpredictable opponent. Like tomorrow's 3 games could be extremely fun.
I'm more nervous for USA tomorrow than I am for Canada.
Yeah, because
ours isn't a must win.
I agree,
but your guys is a must win.
I'm trying not to be nervous about China.
I would be nervous as shit.
There's so much that I don't understand about China that it's not even worth getting nervous about.
This is exactly why I thought your comments at the beginning were so asinine, where you just basically sat there and being like, China has nothing, with knowing zero about their program or their team or anything that was happening with them. Like they've already proved you wrong from their week 1.
Okay, they beat Serbia and the Netherlands.
There's still like 2 games better than you thought they would have been.
No, I think. Let's see.
No, you're not. Maybe you thought they would have beat the Netherlands, but you didn't think you weren't thinking they were beating Serbia.
Well, I didn't think Serbia was going to be that terrible. I picked China to go 2-10. It's possible they still do. They're not. They're nowhere near as bad as like the worst team on the women's side. So I've always kind of admitted that I'm ignorant about China. They have one player who I know and have huge respect for in Zhang, and he hasn't played yet.
No, yeah, he has not. That's why, like, I think China could be sneaky good, just because, like, you don't know what's happening behind the communism over there, right? Like, you don't once again they showed up. The women, we were like, ooh, this women's team isn't going to be good. They showed up with a bunch of 16-year-olds, and now they're going to be in the playoffs, right?
I am just really excited to see Vital Heinen's antics in person, and like if any of those antics.
Yo, we get Heinen
yeah,
interviews.
we do.
Oh
we
my
do.
God!
I'm,
yes.
Yeah, like I mean, the player that China sent to the press conference today didn't speak English, and I don't expect to be interviewing any Chinese players this week, but I absolutely want to interview Heinen.
Yeah, no, there will be a lot of Heinen interviews for sure.
He's
absolutely.
Yeah, I can't wait to see his antics and body language, and see if any of that communication actually gets through probably, well, almost certainly through an interpreter. It's just going to be an interesting dynamic.
But it's also like he's been there now for a little bit.
This is his second year.
So it's it should be interesting. He should speak Pang. Okay, I guess we'll have to see. Well, we can talk to their team host and see whichever ones of them speak English.
We'll see what we can do. What else is going on in the other sites of the world? Over in Bulgaria, France is starting to reassemble the Olympians. Brizard, Chininyeze, Patry, and Luati are all back this week.
France is good.
Yep.
France is going to be real good. With Luati, I really hope they still go with more of a youth movement.
Yeah, they've got, I think, Patron, and then the really young kid with the bun.
But they still have Tizi, Amir Tizioelu as well.
Shout out my boy Chauboisson, no longer on the roster. R.I.P. Tough for the rest of the world. Just really sad we don't get to see our boy out there. France honestly should go 4-0 this week. France plays Japan. I was excited about that, but Japan is still rolling a lot of youth, like no Onodera, no Ishikawa, no Takahashi, obviously no Sakita, obviously no Nishida. So a lot of that kind of next group up as far as left sides will be playing, and they were all pretty good in week 1 against Poland, and then also like bad competition elsewhere. But I don't think they stand a chance against France. I think they could have a good week otherwise. Then
France is always a bad matchup for Japan in general.
Terrible matchup
because
Japan.
they're too skilled in comparison to Japan. Like, they're not as skilled as Japan. Obviously, they're the most skilled, but like their skill to physicality ratio is much too high for Japan.
Agreed. I think that's a good way to say it. Slovenia has no. It's weird. Slovenia sent more of their guys to Brazil than they're sending to Bulgaria, which I don't totally get. It's like no Earnout, no Chebul, I think no Kozamernik even. So it'll probably be Tonček Stern still playing. The only left side is Rok Mozic, and then it'll be probably mostly Mujanovic, and then that young setter, Najdic.
But like Slovenia doesn't really need. I guess who knows? But
they're what, 3-1?
They're 3-1,
and they're playing at home in week 3. So I assume that's what they're gearing up for.
Yeah, you just send the guys home.
Oh, Kozamernik, I guess, is on the roster
because then you get multiple weeks off. You get like 3 weeks off.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Because then you have this week off. You've got the break week off. You get the women's week off to get back into the gym, and then you can start competing. So you're gonna have 2 weeks off.
Yeah, maybe it's like a Poland situation, kind of like Eric Shoji was telling us that he thought that Poland would choose their rosters per week based on their results in the previous week.
Yeah.
And Poland going 4-0 week 1 gave them the flexibility to give more guys time off for week 2. Maybe Slovenia is doing something similar.
I think the Bulgaria location is going to be really, really interesting just because you have these tweener teams that were not really like all of the three teams, like France is obviously going to dominate.
Yeah.
Slovenia's not rocking with the same lineup. Japan's not rocking with the same lineup. And then you've got Bulgaria, Turkey, Ukraine, who are all still trying to figure things out.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that location is going to be a bit of a bloodbath.
Ukraine, I think, has figured themselves out. Ukraine they are what they are.
Okay, yeah. Okay, maybe you like saying in like figuring things out is different, but they are what they are, and they're inconsistent.
A little bit, and a lot of these teams don't exactly like. There's just not a lot of teams that have played Ukraine a whole lot, but like Turkey needs to figure themselves out badly after week 1, and then Bulgaria playing at home, I think, is a really cool opportunity. I mean, you saw them in week 1, and it was a mixed bag, but the highs were really high.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like Bulgaria is going to struggle throughout the rest of this competition. Because it's not like Bulgaria can go much and change things.
They can't.
Change is going to be slow.
They do bring Grozanov back for week 2.
Yeah, but he's playing with a broken finger.
Is he really?
Yeah, that's what I read in the Discord.
Yikes.
So, but like Grozanov, like Bulgaria is such a shitty passing team that bringing Grozanov is only going to help your blocking.
Probably.
Right. So, yeah, like I just like, especially as now that teams have video on them and teams have video on Moni and teams have video on Alex and how they run their offense, they're going to be able to clamp down on them a lot more.
There's a decent chance. I do remember, though, I mean, we're here for games in Chicago out west in Hoffman Estates. One of the games I went to, I think it was maybe 2015, we played Bulgaria back when Bulgaria was pretty good, like with Sokolov, Skrimov, old guy, like there's a guy named Nikolai Nikolov in the middle, Salparov at libero. I don't remember who their setter was. They had this.
It doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter, but they came in and beat us in 5, and we were really good, and they were like a miniature Poland in the crowd that they brought. Like that, a Bulgarian crowd in Chicago outnumbered the American fans, which is completely embarrassing. So their crowd at home, I think, could be spectacular.
Yeah, no, they've like they used to host a lot of events. Like in the early 2010s, they were hosting World League finals and shit like that. And like that was a top country. So yeah, I think it's going to be pretty good at home. Plus you get the added Nikolov factor. So at home, I think they're going to be able to ride that wave at home this week, and then wherever they are in week 3, kind of
could fall apart a little bit,
falter a little bit.
Yeah, Bulgaria has Japan, Slovenia, Turkey, Ukraine in that order.
So they'll lose the first 2.
I think they could win maybe one of those 2 games.
Up against Japan? No.
Japan and or Slovenia?
No.
Undermanned for both? I don't think
does
that's
Slovenia
impossible.
still have the Rock?
Yes.
Then no. They have Mujanovic?
Yes.
Then no.
Not impossible. I like the Alex Nikolov versus Ruck battle. But then, Slovenia has 2 scorers where Bulgaria has 1.
There's so many pieces of Bulgaria's game that they're missing.
I agree.
Bulgaria, realistically, they shouldn't have beat Argentina. Argentina was just gassed, right? They got in Tuesday, played Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And it was that Friday match that they played against Bulgaria.
I'm optimistic for them this week. Then the Serbia site, I think, is kind of a mess.
Yeah, it's going to be a mess for sure.
You've got a lot of teams that are a bit of a mess. Serbia themselves are a mess. Iran and the Netherlands are both a bit of a mess for very different reasons. Like Iran's going through a lot just in their country right now. The biggest disaster of them all
is Cuba.
What the hell? Every time we think that we've seen the biggest piece of stoogery from that federation, they go on and one-up themselves.
Yeah, I mean, for those who don't know, if you're not in the Discord, haven't been paying attention, Cuba only managed to get 6 players onto visas to get them into Serbia, and they will probably only have those 6 players for the first game against Germany. However, it does seem like they have, it's 2 outsides, a setter, and then 2 middles, or technically 3 middles, but one of them is Maso, who could play on the right side. And they the majority of their team was waiting on visas and will be filtering in. I think some are getting there just before the game on Wednesday, and then others are getting there later on that night or the next morning or something. But yeah,
what a disaster
there by Cuba. And it also kind of explains why these players don't really play hard sometimes, while they'll come out there and just kind of lay an egg, because it's like it's really hard to play for a federation that doesn't care about you.
I don't blame it. I can't find it within myself, knowing what we know about Cuba, to blame their bad performances on the athletes themselves most of the time.
Yeah.
It's the situation that they're
Actually,
dealing
well,
with.
I mean, yes and no.
Some of the time, but like the situation that they're dealing with is so much worse than every other volleyball country and federation on the planet. It's very much in its own category. And the fact that they win any games on their own raw talent is a testament to them, more so than the other way, where like when they do dumb, ridiculous stuff and lay eggs, that's just Cuba, that's just like Cuba doing Cuba stuff. Then sometimes they click, they catch fire, they beat Brazil in Rio.
No, they only, like, we watched them beat Brazil. Was it last year or the year before in Ottawa?
2 years ago.
Right? Like, that is Brazil. Cuba, Brazil is always a game they're going to get up for.
And then they beat him in Olympic qualifiers.
Yeah, and then they always, like,
Dude, that Cuba-Brazil game in Ottawa was an all-timer.
Or remember the World Championship match that they started with in 2022?
Ooh,
that
was
went like 5. That was an absolute banger.
was a
Like,
banger.
Cuba only gets hard for Brazil. They're like semi-hard at best for any other team.
Well, so Cuba this week, who the hell even knows what team they're going to be able to field? They have Germany, Serbia, Netherlands, Argentina. Normally, if they had a full roster and a competent federation, a team with that schedule could be thinking 4-0.
Yeah.
But not Cuba.
No. So I think it's going to be an interesting week for Germany, potentially. I think there's an opening there for them to get some wins.
Tila is back.
That'll make a big difference.
Yeah.
That'll make a big difference. Like, Zimmerman, I think, is a really solid setter, but Tila puts people on skates.
Yes, he does. And him setting Simon Torwi.
Yeah, if they can pass good enough, that's going to be the big thing for Germany. Are they going to be good enough in reception? But I do think Tobias Brand is on this roster for week number 2 as well.
Oh, okay. I didn't catch that. That's nice news. I'm excited to see.
Well, let's look at the O2 Biz.
I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to see him for sure. Yeah, this is a weird slate of teams. I definitely think it's pretty clear that Volleyball World or the FIVB scheduled the teams in Chicago that are here with some intention. Obviously Poland, like, that's a no-brainer, but from everything that we know, Everett, what we've heard is that this is an event here in Chicago specifically that Volleyball World very much has their eyes on, as one that they want to spotlight and grow and make.
Well, this is a Volleyball World event.
Yes,
right? It's not run by the
correct. Yeah,
so
Volleyball World themselves is running this event,
which means like the financial onus and like good things happen. Basically, like any financial things.
So the teams that they put here were definitely with some intention, but then you have this group over in Belgrade that are, who the hell knows what's going to happen over there?
But it kind of feels like this group kind of feels like Ottawa Women Week 1, where the other locations got the prime teams. Like, they put a lot of like effort into getting teams into Brazil, and then Canada kind of got the second. But then it was just so messy that like it just made it really interesting.
It made it fun,
yeah.
And that definitely could happen here. You have Argentina, who's obsessed with playing 5 setters. You have Germany, who has a great opportunity. Cuba's a disaster. Serbia at home, like, desperately needing to figure it out. Like, who the hell knows? That could be fun.
We also have the benefit, the fact that there's no Asian week this week. There's no Asian location, so that where there's no overnight matches, what means that we can get up and watch the majority of the matches.
Majority of them. There's definitely some that start at like 3 or 4 in the morning our time.
Yeah, but only a few. Like, it's only the early matches.
Yeah,
if not, the majority of them are starting like
7-ish a.m.
We're going to be able to watch at least 60% of the matches.
Yeah, which is cool. And so we're going to be in here. We're going to do a couple of watch-alongs for these VNL games, which I think will be really fun. We haven't really done one of those together, we did a couple in drunk stream fashion when there was a game on at like 1 a.m. in Ottawa a couple years ago. But I think the chance to do a watch along for a VNL game could be pretty fun. So definitely stay tuned for that. But we also will be pumping out just a ridiculous amount of content this week.
Hopefully.
We have obviously all the interviews that we'll normally get here from Chicago. We have our guy Dotto Volleyball from the Discord, who did a really good job in Belgrade getting us some interviews with the women last week. He is also there in Belgrade for the men this week. We also have our guy Martin, who's relatively new. What's his website again? I think it's volleyballnews.net.
Yeah, volleyballnews.net.
Shout out Martin. I got a message from him on Discord over like last week. He said that he's the founder of a website called volleyballnews.net that I hadn't heard of, and that he's going to be in Burgas, Bulgaria, and offered to get us some interviews. And I said, I would love that. If I hadn't heard of your website, if you want to post the videos on your own thing, go for it. But if not, we're happy to host them for you. And I checked out his website and was very impressed.
Yeah.
Volleyballnews.net. He did a good job, like writing kind of like short form blog posts about a lot of the matches.
Yeah,
so,
I liked his shit. It was good.
Yeah, so go check him out. But we might have coverage of all 3 locations.
That'd be wild. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, that'd be super cool. We also have some fun, like, miscellaneous video ideas that we're going to film and release like a little bit later.
Yeah.
Which could be very fun.
Especially some stuff for like next week when there's nothing happening.
Yeah, that'll be good to let a couple of those rock. If you have any ideas for some videos that you might want us to film, like especially if you've been around for a while and have watched us do like the drafts and the rankings and the tier lists and like that style of video when we've been in person at VNL's past, we're definitely looking for more ideas of stuff to do like that. And then if there's, I mean, I'm just really excited for the vibe in Chicago, like all the people that we might be able to run into and put a microphone in front of, and just kind of see.
I guess we'll have to see. We'll have to see if the Americans show up to support the way that the Canadians showed up to support.
Dude, I got to be honest.
No, won't happen, eh?
If you North Americans, okay, if you all are expecting the crowd in Chicago to be remotely similar to Canada, change your expectations.
Yeah,
American volleyball fans, well, they don't exist.
No.
The American volleyball public, which does exist, like the people that play volleyball, that coach volleyball, that have kids that play volleyball, like the people that have volleyball in their minds.
It's classic volleyball.
They don't go to the games. The community that I have here in Chicago is, there are probably hundreds of thousands of people that are in some way related to volleyball that, for one, they probably don't even know this event is happening.
Definitely not.
And those of them that do can't possibly be bothered to go.
No.
So I am pessimistic about the American crowds. I've done a lot of work in just my 20 to 35-year-old young adults to like kind of go and make something fun out of it. But compared to the crowds in Quebec and like the amazing home crowds that we've seen elsewhere in VNL, I am not optimistic.
Other than like, if it's not for that sellout, if it's not for the Polish fans here, I would think that this might be one of the worst attended events.
It'll be well attended by all the other fan bases. I even think that there's a decent chance that China will put a good crowd in the seats. We've got a lot of Chinese people in Chicago.
Hell, we might even get some Canadians coming out this way too.
That would be fun.
There's definitely going to be some Canadians who make their way out.
What I have been trying to promote to my friends is not the Poland game because it's sold out immediately.
Yeah.
Not the Italy game, even though it's on Sunday, because I think it'll be a quick old donging and it won't be that much fun to watch. I've been trying to get as many Americans to that Canada game on Thursday as I have been able to. We'll see how it goes, but that's the game where, like, if you say like USA and Canada, they're close to their top national teams, are playing each other, do you want to go to the game? Most people from most sports would say hell yes, like when and where. But in volleyball, like, people just don't really care that much. I really hope that I'm wrong.
We've talked about it forever.
Yeah, I really hope that I'm wrong.
Volleyball fans are apathetic.
In our two countries, yes, very much so.
No, just in general, right? It's the same thing that happens everywhere, right? Well, like, once again, like, we filled up 17,000. Like, that's a bad NBA or NHL crowd, right? That's a subpar NHL. That's a bad like soccer wouldn't get that, cricket wouldn't get that, rugby wouldn't get that, baseball wouldn't get,
those have entirely different stadium sizes and everything.
Handball gets better numbers than that.
If volleyball gets 17,000, that's something we need to be celebrating. When USA, like Chicago men's VNL, is getting less than 1,000 for more than half the games, which is possible, then that's where we need to point out some concerns about the marketing, but also just like the greater fan base. Like, the fan base here is the problem. But the other thing I'm concerned about is, like, when we get there, the last time VNL was here was 2019, and we got beat by Canada with Brett Walsh and Ryan Sclater, who I had never seen before at that point. That was a tough game. But the worst part about that game was how dead silent the arena was.
Yeah. And
if the arena's that dead silent, then I might have to take it upon myself to run around in circles and yell at people. Nobody wants that. So I'm a little worried. As excited as I am to watch the games and to be there and to like have this in my city and to hang out with you all week, I'm a little worried about the turnout.
Yeah.
and like the representation of American volleyball. We'll see.
Yeah. Two things about the chat. First of all, Berkay, you were saying you should have told me or Cem to cover in Turkey. I posted in the Discord, putting an open invitation for anyone who wanted to cover foreign sites, and none of you two fools answered me. So yeah, next time if you want to go there, let me know. We can send both of you. Right? Doesn't matter. Also, what was the other thing that I wanted to talk about? Yeah, Aussie handball for sure. Handball will feel like if you look at the European handball championship numbers in 2022 that happened in this like basically a month right after the volleyball world championships in Poland, handball numbers blew us out of the water. So, and that's a European championship compared to world championship. So yeah, like we got
work to do.
We got work to do.
But we're going to do our best here at this site. So before we get out of here, some of the matches on the schedule that we think will be the best. Wednesday, Italy, Poland, and Canada, Brazil, both here in Chicago. Really excited for both of those. France versus Japan, Thursday morning our time. And then Canada versus USA, Everett and I's classic rivalry game. Bulgaria versus Slovenia Friday, I think could be a sleepy good game. Also, it's in a nice time slot where we might be able to do a watch along for it. So We'll see if we can pull that off. Slovenia, France Saturday, Brazil, Italy Saturday, and then USA, Poland Saturday.
Yeah, gonna be a good one.
And then Sunday, Slovenia, Japan, which I think could be really good with the two teams that those two have. And then Brazil, Poland here in Chicago.
Slovenia consistently loses to Japan all the time.
I can't think of a time they've ever beaten Japan.
No, so yeah, I think that'll be an easy one for Japan. But yeah, I'm excited for it overall. Should be a good time. Hopefully the crowds in Chicago show up, although I'm not really optimistic. And yeah, keep in touch here because there's gonna be a lot of shit coming out of here real quick.
Yeah, so we're not being cringy YouTubers, but for real, like our schedule this week is going to be so unpredictable that the best thing to do if you want to follow along with us, to obviously in addition to subscribing to the channel, which you should have already done, is turning on alerts.
Yeah,
because we're going to have so many interviews, and then we will do a post-game show every night after the last game here in Chicago. Yeah. And exactly when that's going to go live, we won't really know until 10 or 15 minutes before. So just kind of the nature of our calendar when we're at events is we don't know exactly when we're going to be posting stuff, but if you want to follow along with everything, subscribe and turn your alerts on.
Yep, for sure. We will be posting stuff in less than 24 hours, so we will see you soon.
Yes.
Is that it?
I think that's it. Yeah, we've got volleyball in 12 hours on the other side of the world.
Yeah, I need to piss.
Let's get out of here. Join the Discord. Have a great week of volleyball. We'll see you soon.
Oh yeah, he's got to reach. It's too far.